All right, y'all. Well, welcome to another Zath chat. It's been a little while since we've had a chance to do this. We're going to go through, talk about the next season of clan battles. Chat, you guys, of course, chime in with any questions that you've got. If you'd like to ask anything at all, it's a good opportunity to do so. I'm going to maximize this window. And, interesting. Whatever. Oh, I see what happened. Hold on. I don't see what happened. Whatever. So in any case, we're going to take a look at the clan battles, Kachalot season, that they call it. Now, this is going to be 6 versus 6 format, and it's going to be on tier 8s and 9s. So, perfect opportunity, first of all, I want to say, to grind up ships. So, if you are somebody who, doesn't enjoy playing ranked that much, right, you've got up to tier 8 with operations that you can play. Right now, there's convoy mode for 8, 9, and 10. But the nice thing about this, and there's also ranks, right? But the nice thing about this is it's 8 and it's 9s in an environment where you can play with your friends. So that's kind of cool. There's a few restrictions here. No aircraft carriers or submarines. No more than 2 tier 9 ships per team. Limits on number of battleships per team. After 1 week, the limit will change to no more than 1 battleship per team. No more than 3 mercenaries per division. And then there's a whole host of, so much out here. They even made a graphic, which is even confusing. Ships that have alternative version, black collaboration versions are included. Restrictions by default. Limit the number of Cherbourg, Brest, Carnot, and Schroeder. You can have no more than 2 of them. Fantastic, Terrible, Kiev, Mogador, Nebraska, Delaware, Kearsarge. Can only have not more than 2 of these in total. Limited Kit, Lillian, Cossack, Akazuki, Benham, Kitakaze, Nebraska, Delaware, Kearsarge again. You can have, again, no more than 2 of these ships in total. And then limited number of Massachusetts, Lennon, Prince Rupert, Nebraska, Delaware, Kearsarge. One team may not have more than 1 of these ships in total. Limited number of Alaska, Kronstadt, Nebraska, Delaware, Kearsarge. You can have only 1 of these ships in total. Musashi, Georgia are not allowed. That's a lot of rules. That's a lot of rules. So let's take a look at, we've got this fun graphic. We'll dissect this in a moment. Battles be held on the following maps. You can see that. Mine. Thanks, Captain. And then you can see as well, we've got clans that are allowed. I should probably disable that. Oh, well. You can see that they have these, all these different abilities here. You got tier 10. Oh no, that was the previous one, right? And so this is kind of their justification for what they did and why they're doing it. Okay, and then the concern was, of course, the hybrids, which is why you see, that's other that graphic. We'll talk about that, and then you can see all the feedback here. They're going to be quicker to make changes based on how things go. So here's the deal. I would recommend the first week, you play whatever the heck you feel like. And if I were you, frankly, I would play a ton of Nebraska and Delaware and Kearsarge. Why? Because they are the most heavily, they're the most heavily limited of the ships. So let me pull in. Can I change this to paint? Yes, I can. So we're going to change this to paint, and we're going to try to kind of go through. Well, that's weird. Hold on. If I... Wait, what? Oh, okay. I see what it did. So what they're getting at is if you choose to bring in Nebraska here, right, then you can't take a Delaware or another Nebraska. You're forced to only take one of those. Okay? But it also means that if you choose a Nebraska, you cannot take a Massachusetts, a Lenin, or a Prince Rupert. You also cannot take an Alaska or Kronstadt because they are part of the Nebraska down here. Now, in Group C, you can choose to bring one of these if you would like. In Group 2, you could choose to bring one of these. And you can see there's no limit here in terms of with the Nebraska. But in order to take one hybrid ship, right, one hybrid ship, you have limited yourself away from being able to take anything from Group D or E. Okay? There's nothing that you can do from that. And then in Group C, you've got the ability to take one of these, Group B, one of these, and Group A, one of those. Okay? Once the restrictions start. Now, because the Nebraska is considered a battleship, it's a hybrid battleship, the other thing to consider is if you take the Nebraska, then you are also essentially saying, I'm not going to take any other BB because you are limited to one battleship. So what Wargaming is doing is they are basically making it punishing to take, that's too large, making it very punishing in order to take a hybrid battleship. Tone is tier 8, so if you are looking to have a lot of planes out there, then what would you do? You would say, instead of taking, you would take a Nebraska, right? You could take a Nebraska, you could take a Delaware, or a Kearsarge. You could take one of these, doesn't matter which one, and then you're going to pair that up with a Tone. Now, you'll note that the Tone is not listed. So, as Tashkent is mentioning, you could have, potentially, hypothetically, a game with 5 Tones and 1 hybrid. I totally 100% expect to see this happen. Remember, Tone is the tier 8 hybrid cruiser. She's like the Atago, but with a couple less turrets, and instead a nice big flat section in the rear where she can launch planes. So with Tone, you can launch torpedo bombers, right? And then you can do your dive bombers, or you can do your rockets for Kearsarge. Between those three, having played those 3 ships, personally, I would probably choose the Nebraska or Delaware, because you get the stupid dive bombers, which are more impactful in my opinion than the rockets from the Kearsarge. Kearsarge is going to be better if you want the guns more and you want to spec for the guns more. So, what does that mean for us in terms of our compositions? Let's think about what we can do for that. And I think the best way for me to do this is going to be to open up a Google Doc. So give me a minute, and I'm just going to create a Google Doc here. That way I can type in front of you guys and you can kind of see some ideas. So, and then we're going to copy these rules into this doc, and we're going to copy and paste here into that. All right, and then let's change my browser window to the new Google Doc. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to come up with some theory crafting, some ideas for ships, right? And of course, because you're limited to one battleship, I think it makes sense that you're going to focus in on the battleship first. So, I would say
Musashi.
option... I'm sorry, what was that, Drifton?
Musashi.
It's funny you should mention that, because you can see Musashi is banned. Musashi and Georgia are not allowed to play this season.
Never mind.
Nope. And see that you've demonstrated, I'm going to turn down just a tab, but you demonstrate exactly why this season of Clan Battles is a little confusing, because there's so much you have to keep straight, right? The nice thing is, the game won't let you play with those restrictions, right? Whereas King of the Sea, people accidentally went into a battle with the restrictions and got disqualified because of that. Rip, oops. Anyway. So, option 1. Let's talk about some ideas for builds. Let's theorycraft them. Chat, you could jump in as well if you want to. Delay on the sound. I need more feedback on that. What do you mean by that, Cookie? Is it because you can't hear me sync with my voice? But we can fix that later, but we want to stay on the topic of this right now. So, if you want to do maybe a more traditional kind of a setup, you can run a tier 8 or a 9 battleship. So that would be, a Russian BB. That would be Vlad. That would be Lenin. That would be Rossiya, right? or Soyuz, whatever. I would say that's going to be a very strong pick in this kind of meta. Now, you'll note that if you're taking a Lenin, you cannot... well, it doesn't matter because you have max of 1 battleship anyways once they put the restrictions in. So, whatever. Okay, so, in any case... so option 1 is to go Russian battleship, and the nice thing about that is then you can either go a like hammer and anvil, so you have like a stay side. That's that Russian battleship, right? Russian cruisers at 9 and 8 are not as strong and tanky as the Russian cruisers are at tier 10 or beyond. So if you're going to take a Russian cruiser, I would probably take Kronstadt, just because she's extremely tanky. So you could do the Wall of Stalin composition, is what I'm getting at. You can take a whole bunch of Kronstadts, because they've got their radar, pair them up with Vlad, Lenin, Sovietsky, Soyuz, whatever, and just go. And so we'll call this one the Wall of Stalin. That's what I always like to call it. Is it max of 1? Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. I just see. And there you go. Max of 1 Kronstadt, so you can't do that. You can take 1 Kronstadt. All right, so let's say that's your hold side. Let's get rid of the Wall of Stalin idea. What else can you take now? You're probably going to want some sort of a vision destroyer. You're probably going to want something that can get on the flank in order to make something work. Oh, actually, if you want... You could... Let me look back up here for a second. Okay. So you could take a Cherbourg, Brest, and you can take up to 2. So if you did that, 1, 2, 3, 4, so you could still do, this would be, kind of like a bow on push kind of a setup. You could do something like that, and then, I don't know, take whatever else you'd want to do for cruiser that way. Or you could take destroyers. I don't know. Option 2, here's another idea. And chat, if you guys have some ideas for builds, by all means, put them out there. Let's just put the Tony one down, just so we can talk about how cheeses. We'll call this one the aircraft cheese, or like spot all, right? So you can take hybrid battleship. I would probably take a Delaware. You could take a Delaware at tier 9, and then you would take Tone. And there you go, right? Like times 4 or 5. And you could do something like that. Is that going to work? You'd have to have a lot of communication to make it work, because what you would need to do is you would need to set it up so that one person triggers a DCP and then everybody else follows suit and just nails one ship, and you have to go through one at a time. So you could do that, but you got to put your ship in a really good position to be able to handle that. So that's going to be interesting. I'm going to change my dream title. So that's another crazy option. Let's see, another option. Let's see. So you can have this one. We'll call the secondary fun. And for secondary fun, obviously you would have a Ruprecht or a Massachusetts. Now, because of the fact that you're only allowed to have one of those battleships, well, what else can you run that is going to be useful? You've got a Ruprecht or a Massachusetts, you probably are going to want somebody that can spot, so you're going to want to have some sort of a radar cruiser. You're probably going to want to have some sort of a smoke destroyer. In other words, what I'm getting at is these are your more kind of commonality kinds of things, right? Drifting. Okay. So drifting. Now, interesting. Let me think about that. Okay. So option 4, drifting has Adriatico,
Very hard to
Cherbourg.
kill.
The Adriatico?
Yeah.
This is what drifting came up with here. Adriatico, Cherbourg, Mainz, Riga, Loyang, Cossack. I mean, Adriatico has a weakness on the bow. If you know where to shoot, you can exploit it. That's the only problem with that ship. Cherbourg, Mainz, Riga, Loyang, Cossack. You might trigger TM Grunty by saying Riga right now, but the problem with Riga is it's not anywhere near as tanky as you want it to be. Like, you have to kind of play it as a kiting away cruiser to make it work.
Against tier 8s.
That's true. You're up against tier 8s. Let me come up with another option here. Let's come up with another option. We're going to call this one, let's call this one HE Hell. And we want all fire spam as much as we can. This might take the secondary fun build and go to the next level. So what ships can we play that's all HE all the time?
Well, Akazuki, right? Or the Kitakaze, right?
So you could take Kitakaze, Aki. Yes, you could. For cruisers, you could take Chapayev, Chappie. You could try. I don't know that you'd want to do Riga. Donskoy could work. What other cruisers are really good HE Hell kind of cruisers? I did not notice up here. I don't see it. Kutuzov? Right? Sit down, smoke, and just rain down hell on people. That could absolutely work. What else?
Well, Cleveland, but I'm
I think you're going to see some people playing Cleveland. I don't think it's going to make it that far, but early on, I absolutely think we're going to see Cleveland's. I mean, you're going to see everything, right? But in terms of things that are going to... what about Charles Martel? Charles Martel definitely has HE Hell, right? I don't know that you'd want the St. Louis, but I mean, you know, that's an option, right? I saw Mines mentioned. You mentioned Mines. I think Mines would be a great, just crazy HE Hell ship. Yeah, that could absolutely work. But you get the idea, right? Ships that are just going to spam away like crazy. For Destroyer, Kid is a great choice for this as well. Now, remember, you're restricted here, so you have to keep in mind, if you can take Kid, you can take Aki or Kita, and that's it. Then you're locked out from taking Venom, Cossack, Lo Yang, that sort of thing. Vision. Option 6 could be Vision. Now, this one I think might be kind of interesting, because what you could do for this... is Borodino. Because the Borodino has radar. Right? So you could take something like a Borodino. You can take... oh god, I'm going to suggest it. You guys are going to laugh. maybe spit something out of your nose. But you can take British CLs with radar. You could take Lo Yang, the destroyer. What else could you do for? Oh, and I'm gonna put Chapayev here because it's got stealth radar. Lo Yang. What else would be good?
Well, are you looking for a smoke combo with that?
Yeah, so I'm trying to think of like a good setup for dealing with caps and cap control, right? So like a Z46. Is it 46? There's so many destroyers now that have been added to the game. Let me take a look in the game real quick. Sometimes it's easier for me just to look at the ships.
I'm kind of thinking
42.
about the. I'm kind of thinking about the Venom too. I know that torps are kind of like lower range, but there's a lot of them. But as it is an American destroyer with the long-lasting American smoke, right?
Uh-huh.
So it's a smoke layer, and then you get the just totally area denial with the torps, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm looking at. I was looking at nines. Yeah, Z46 is what I'm thinking of. But
Yeah.
you're right. I mean, so you can go into that with area denial and that all that sort of thing. Absolutely, yes. Oh, I gotta get Stream Raiders going again. Sorry, guys. Try this again. What else is there for destroyers? What I like about the season is there's a lot of options out there. And these are just a few, obviously. And I'm sure you're going to start seeing metas and stuff come out, and people are going to go nuts and all that kind of stuff, right? Guns and torps are pretty bad with the Lo Yang. That is true, Seasons. That is true. So, if you want to make sure that everybody's got radar, Borodino, I think, is your only battleship that's got radar that's allowed. And then you bring with that ships that also have that radar. You could put the Kronstadt in there. I really
Alaska.
think you could put Alaska in there too, right? Exactly. So let me put Alaska, Ron. Okay. Since we did HE Hell, let's do another option here. Torpedo Hell. Now this is where you have your Venom.
Yeah, Venom. Yeah, for sure.
You have your Ruprecht or Zeton for battleships, right? Any other battleships worth? I'm thinking something with hydro, something with torpedoes. Big O, you wouldn't know any hydro-equipped German battleships that have torpedoes, would you?
Schlieffen's line, starting from Heinrich, long range, slow, deal a lot of damage.
Odin, yeah.
Odin. Well, here's the thing: Gneisenau, Odin, Tirpitz B, Brandenburg, and Scharnhorst. It's only 6 kilometers.
I know.
Oh, Palmer too.
Yep.
Yeah, Palmer.
Oh, Palmer. Yeah. So you can do something like that. The point is, you want.
I'm sorry. What? Hawk or Duncan?
Oh. For a little bit of that surprise action. I like it. So what you do is then you mate that with all the torpedo spam you can have. So you're going to have Venom ×2, for example, right? What else can you use for torpedo spam? Z44, right? That's the discount Venom. So you've got that ×2. So that's 3 ships there. So you can have Z44 ×3. If you want to be super ridiculous and just do all the memes. Jaeger, if that comes out before the season ends. Ooh, yeah, Cookie, that's a good point. This is a great opportunity for Kagero or Yugumo with Torp Reload Booster. Absolutely. You just vomit torps. That's what this option is. Just torp the crap out of anything. And the Yugumo.
Takahashi.
Okay. I really feel like Takahashi's going to struggle once you get spotted, but,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, sure, if you want to just spam the torpedoes.
You run it in that smoke from those venoms.
Mm-hmm. We're not talking about brawls right now. We're talking about clan battles. Boba Strat. The thing is, if you're going to take... Remember, you're limited to tier 9s only, so you can't take that times 3. The most you could take is that times 2, assuming you're taking an A tier and that sort of thing. But anyway, it gives you guys some ideas for things that you can work out. Here's another fun meme. Are you ready for another really fun one? Mar Draco would love this one. Giuseppe Verdi.
I was going to say your Italian BBs, right?
We're going to call this one Smoke Hell, because you're going to use Giuseppe Verdi, and then you're going to use Paolo Emilio. Go full send. Go full send. Now, to mate up the Verdi, you're going to run... what's it called? The tier 8. Starts with an A. The cruiser. I'm just missing it out of my head right now.
The Amalfi?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, the Amalfi. So you can run Amalfi times 2, and then if you want to keep with the Italian meme, you can add the destroyer, Converti?
Are we talking about tier 8 and 9 or just tier 8?
Tier 8 and 9. I just went through all the limitations for clan battles. There's quite a number of them.
Follow.
Oh yeah, I just put that on the list. So the idea with this is you've got the Verdi with its sap secondaries with the smoke. This is assuming there's no radar or hydro. That's the only problem with this lineup. But hey, if you want to do something silly, there's an option for you. Go ahead. What were you going to say now, sir?
Oh, nothing. I was going to add Polo, Adriatico. I think that's it.
Yeah, Adriatico is the 9. There's a limit of 2 tier 9s. So if you're going to run Paolo and Giuseppe, you're forced to run 8s for the rest. So that would be, Amalfi times 2, Converti times 2. And the idea with that is, if you can schedule it properly, you can smoke train all around the map, which is just hilarious. We can call this, let's call this one the 420 build. But getting back to the topic at hand, I feel like clan battles is going to be one of those situations where, because you have only got one battleship, you're not going to have the cross shots that you quite want unless you pick something that has those capabilities. And that kind of goes back to the Bawan push strategy of bringing a Kronstadt or a Cherbourg Brest as a way to kind of have a discount battleship. Now, you'll notice that I haven't mentioned anything about the speed group. So let's look at speed. Speed build. What are our fast battleships? Flandre. What else? Alsace. Right? Richelieu.
Yeah, JB.
Jean Bart. Jean Bart was not removed. So Jean Bart would be a really good option. Georgia is banned. You cannot do Georgia, unfortunately, Glacial. So, I mean, you want the speed, so you want engine boost if you can. Flandre doesn't have engine boost, but she's just fast on her own. And she's a tier 8, which does give you the ability to put your 9s someplace else. Oh, Constellation. Okay. Gascon, yeah. Right. Those all are options, right? Now, cruisers. You want speedy cruisers, so that would be Charles Martel. And the nice thing about that is, like I said earlier, you could do St. Louis, but you probably don't need it. Dyson? All right, sure. I'll add it to the list. It's a speedy battleship. Charles Martel. What other cruisers are really fast at tier 8 or 9? Let me look at the lineups here. I'm a visual person. I just like looking at ships and then saying, oh, hey, how about that one? Oh, hey, how about that one? Right? Bayard. There you go, Aishin. Good, yeah. Absolutely. Bayard's a great option.
I seem to remember, isn't the Seattle pretty quick?
Yeah, but it's a Seattle. I mean, you just look at it and it blows up.
Yeah.
So, I wouldn't take a Seattle, in my opinion. Cherbourg. Right, and by extension, the Brest as well is an option, right? So you could do something like that for cruisers, and then for destroyers, this is where you would bring in your Mogador, Le Fantasque, Les Terribles, and Kiev, right? Yep, this is where you would bring these in. Now, I want to point out one ship that they forgot, in my opinion. I'm gonna put it all capital letters because, I mean, it's literally Petrokiev, and that's the Tashkent. It's got better torpedoes, more of them, and I mean, Kiev is still a lot of fun at 8. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like the Tashkent brings a lot to the table. So that's a ship to watch. It might be added to that bucket up there, that grouping, because I think she's a fantastic boat. So if you want a speed build, these are the ships that you're going to kind of look for, right? And then,
I mean,
but
I think the Italian destroyers are pretty fast as well, right? I mean,
no, they can boost up fast, but then that boost, once it's gone, they're kind of bleh.
well, the Cunnaberti is 39 bays, without a flag on it, right?
Is it?
So you throw a flag on it, that's a extra 10%. So now you're up to what, almost 43.
Let's see. Unfortunately, yeah, I see it. It's 41 with the flag on it right now. So okay, so fine. Look, yeah, Cunnaberti on it, sure. Okay. Now, I think this one might be kind of fun too to think about. An Outlast build, a build that you're going to do to just shrug off as much damage as possible. So what battleships have the best heals and the best healing potential? That's going to be the Lion at tier 9, the British battleship. The Duncan, Hawk. Any other ones? We know that we can't do Massachusetts could work. Any other battleships with really good heals? I'm trying to think about this. Battleships 8 or 9 with really good heals cannot be Georgia. Wait, did you guys notice how Missouri's not on that list? I'm surprised it's not on that list. Really surprised. Not seeing any other ones, so I think I got them. And then, what cruisers can we add here? This is where you're going to put your Otago. This is where you're going to put Prince Eugen. This is where you're going to put Edinburgh. Bro. What other cruisers are there at 8 or 9 that have really good heals?
The Allende, the new Pan American.
Santander. What else? I'm screwing up my formatting here. Not like it matters. The Ignacio, I think, would be a good pick. And we were talking already. Hawk was saying before, he's much happier with the Ignacio than the Santander. So this might be a good place to grab that tier, that tier slot. And for Destroyer, Kiev absolutely has the heal. Oh, yeah, I meant to put Drake. I was thinking the Goliath line. Thank you. Thank you, Zorgi. So if you want, like, literally just all the heals,
Oh, it's
Kid?
Kiev Kid. Yeah, Kiev Kid, and then but
That takes care of that. Yep. Okay. So hopefully you guys can see right now there's a large variety in the choices that you can take. And frankly, I don't know what we're going to find. What I like about this is it's not tier 10. I'm so sick of playing clan battles or anything competitive at tier 10. So I'm excited to see 8s and 9s. I really am. I like the idea that they're doing this kind of a bucketing system. I have a feeling it's going to be changed. The problem is that if you put too many restrictions on, it becomes very difficult for those restrictions to come into play. And we'll have to see, Glacial. Yeah. Chat, what do you guys think of? Are you going to see a lot of hybrids? Later, this is going on YouTube. Do you guys think you're going to see a lot of hybrids? I don't know. I think you'll see a lot of them early on, and then when people start like learning how to deal with them, I don't think we're going to see that many. I think early though we'll see a lot. Like I said, go
do
ahead.
you think it's worth it to take a hybrid battleship, and that's the only battleship you can take?
Well, the problem is when you do that, it's crushing what you can take otherwise, right? You're depending then on Cherbourg, Brest, Carnot, Schroeder to be your battleship, essentially. You can bring 2 of them, but, you know, that kind of gimps you there. It also gimps you in some of the best destroyers available, right? And you'll note that there aren't too many cruisers on here other than Alaska and Kronstadt, both of which are fantastic ships as well. So spotting is absolutely very powerful. I think playing the hybrid battleship is very difficult because you get a lot of people that cosplay it as a carrier. So it's a very fine balance that's going to be needed to achieve in order to be able to pull it off. I have a feeling we are going to see a lot of hybrids at the beginning. I think as we get towards the mid to late season, I think we're going to see in the higher tier competitive less hybrids. But I could be totally wrong. We'll have to see. Now, Cookie, I'm so glad that you mentioned that because I wanted to take a few moments and look through the game together with y'all and talk about ships that maybe they missed. That would be good ships that should have been on that list that did not make it. All right, so I've got my list up, and I'm just going to walk through them real quickly because I don't want to take too much time. We've already talked about a bunch of them. I'm going to start with the Zumo. I'm kidding. You guys are probably hating on me already. Although I will say I love the Azumo. I love her guns and everything about it. But in any case, I mentioned the Missouri because the Missouri, I think, is an interesting choice. Oh, I moved all the way back there. Okay. I think the Missouri's a really good choice, again, with that radar. We talked about the vision that you provide. I'm just trying to think through. I don't know if Jean Bart's that big of a deal. I already talked about Giuseppe Verdi. I think that one's going to be very strong if people know how to play them. That's the hard part about Giuseppe Verdi. But other battleships, I just don't see it. I don't see it. Sun Yat-sen? I mean, okay. You know, if you want to take a Kremlin-ish at tier 9, I'm going to add that to my tier 9 Russian battleship group here. Even though it's technically not a Russian battleship, you understand what I'm saying. So, Sun Yat-sen. And that's really about it. I don't think there's any other battleships that we're kind of missing out on. All right, let's take a look at cruisers. Cruisers that they have missed opportunities. Let's see. Like I said, I'm surprised Kutuzov's not on that list. I mean, she's got the smoke, she's got the guns, she's got the range, she's very comfortable. The only problem is, you know, she doesn't have a heel. Oh, I forgot to talk about the Dutch oven build. That would be kind of fun too. Honestly, guys, I'm looking at these other cruisers. I'm just... Oh, Aegir. Yes. Somebody mentioned earlier Aegir, and I would agree. Aegir is a very strong cruiser. She's a large cruiser, and these guns are really good against other cruisers. And I feel like when you have one battleship allowed, most teams are going to take mostly cruisers. Maybe half cruiser, half destroyer, or maybe mostly cruisers with a couple of destroyers. In which case, a cruiser that's a good anti-cruiser cruiser, say that 10 times fast, is going to be very useful. So I think you could make the case for Aegir. I think you can. What else?
Schroeder, Siegfried.
Schroeder is on the list already. Siegfried did not make the list. So where's the Siegfried? There she is. Of course, the difference between Siegfried and the Aegir is the gun caliber size. Now, I know, Big O, you're a huge fan of Siegfried. I'm going to say it like this. I don't think it's going to be as impactful as Aegir simply because the ranges you're going to be fighting at in clan battles is probably a lot closer than you would expect to see in a random. Now, that being said, Siegfried could be used quite well to push around on the flanks of something and smack something that way. Secondary build Roma. Oh my god, Driftin, really?
It's a put it classic.
Oh, okay. Right, it's the Puddin' Classic. Map. Let's see. The maps are North Trap, Hotspot, Sleeping Giant, Trident Loop, Northern Waters. So these are medium to large size maps. So, okay, maybe you could find a way to get the Siegfried to work. Okay, it's a possibility. What else? I don't know.
Where are you at on radar, DDs?
We haven't talked about those just yet, but we could. I mean, because the Pan-European are, coming out soon. .tm. Now, was the black on the list?
Black
was
is not
not on the
listed.
list. Black needs to be on that list. I am surprised the black is not on that list. The OG, the first ship with smoke and radar. Destroyer-wise. I mean,
And
hello?
Slow Torps.
Yeah, right. Slow torps, sure. But it's just the ability to lock down a ship that's in smoke and take it down. It makes perfect sense to see a lot of those. I already mentioned Tashkent as kind of like an upgraded Kiev, so I'm really surprised we didn't see Tashkent. The big thing, of course, torpedoes 8 kilometers, just like the Kiev. But if I remember right, she's got more torpedoes. Yeah, 3x3, whereas Kiev only has the 2. So that could be kind of fun. Nustrashimi has its super heal. I forgot to add that to my Never Gonna Die lineup here. Where's that Outlast build? Nustrashimi. Orkan. Orkan's an interesting choice. Now, Orkan has radar. Where is it?
Radar, Torps, and the heal, but it does not have smoke.
Right. So, I feel like later in the season, destroyers with radar are going to become more popular. I think early in the season, you guys were just mentioning, we were talking about a lot of hybrid ships being out there. I really feel like ships that are really good with anti-air and have the ability to smoke themselves and other ships are going to probably be stronger early on. Could be wrong. So, instead of an Orkan, maybe take an Ulit or Ostergotland because they've got the, whatever. So, that could work. Excuse me. So anyways, those are options for destroyers. What else do we have here? Imagine if Halford is released during the clan battle season, then you can have hybrid destroyers with your hybrid cruisers, with your hybrid battleship. All the planes. Riesling is not a bad pick with its nice hydro and all that, but you lack the torpedoes, so it makes it difficult to hold people in place and that sort of thing. But otherwise, I think they did a decent job of getting all the really, really OP ships put together, you know, in these little bundles, right? So, Chad, is there anything else clan battle-wise to discuss? I mean, you know, I try to walk you through some ideas for comps. I try to walk you through at least my thinking for some of the ships. Keep in mind, I don't play a ton of clan battles, although I do have competitive experience. And I feel like, you know, I feel like that there's some good options here. I will say this. Please, if I can get on my soapbox and start my TED Talk for a minute, please don't force people to play a ship that they don't like or don't want to play. That's one of the most frustrating aspects of clan battles is when you have a team that says, well, we only want you if you're going to play this. As Kit says, play with me. You know, to me, I feel like you want to be able to, you know, kind of have fun. And that's what this mode should be all about. And, you know, steel and other things too. So my recommendation to you guys, one, the first week, just have a ball. Bring all the stupid ships. Go up here at the top. Bring as many hybrid battleships as you can. Because why the hell not? Because you're going to face others that are doing that stuff. Bring as many Mogadors and whatnot as you can. And do all kinds of stupid stuff with that, right? Have fun with it. After the first week is done, sit down, start thinking about the kind of builds that you have. That's correct, Puck. We have that down here as the aircraft cheese build. So, you know, if you enjoyed that and want to keep doing it, you can. I think that a lot of the teams that really know what they're doing are going to find ways to negate all that, right? They're going to find ways to make it all work. The Nostra? You mean the Nusushimi, or am I missing another ship? A lot of ships have been coming out lately, guys, so I apologize if I missed a ship just recently, but yeah, I mentioned the Nusushimi. That Nusushimi is in the Outlast build because it's got that super heal. And it's got really good concealment, of course, and torps and all that good stuff, so I don't want this to take forever when it comes out on YouTube, so I'm going to cut it short here, and then if you guys want, we can talk more about specific comps or stuff like that in a future Zath Chat video, or there's another topic in line with this that we can discuss. Let's do it. I haven't done a map video for a while, so if there's a map you'd like specifically, feel free to ask. Keep in mind, I do have a playlist all about map chats where we look at different maps, talk about good starting locations and areas to look out for and that sort of thing. So if there's a map I'm missing from the clan battle rotation, feel free to let me know, and we'll put that one up there. But I think that should just about do it for our Zath Chat. Thank you guys that were live, Driftin, Big O, and Voice, and those of you in chat that we've been kind of following along. Thank you very much. And those of you that are going to watch this later on YouTube, thanks. Tell me what you think. And put out your own ideas for cops. It might be kind of fun to share some ideas out there. Okay?